Okay, here's Chicago Faucet pressure balance shower valve SH-PB1-000. We think it's a great product. It's reasonably priced. And we have a customer with a very special, very special old antique trim. And we're now going to adapt the antique trim to fit this valve. Here's an antique single handle crane shower valve that was brought to us, and we sold them the Chicago Faucet SHPB1. So now we're going to transfer this trim. This trim is going to be transferred over to the Chicago valve. So when people are operating this faucet and looking at it, they cannot tell it's not the antique valve in the wall. So normally we would try to fix a valve like this, but this customer was in a real hurry. They don't know what the reason is, but they had to have it fixed today immediately. So we had to sell them another valve, and now we're going to transfer the trim. Here's the antique valve without the trim, and here's the trim that we are going to reuse. Okay, here we are. This is the sculpture we're starting with on the correct valve, and this is the one trim we're removing. So we'll take this apart, and there's your valve right there. So how are we going to attach this to this? So first thing is we have to, this is quite high over here, so we have to get this up high. We want to use the same trim. So this here, this piece right here threads on, and the trim ring, this trim ring here, that threads on, and so these are the threads right here. So we have to somehow or another generate those threads so we can attach this in place. Now, in rummaging through all our parts and pieces, we happen to find an old Chicago valve housing, and it just so happens that this nut threads right onto here. And there's not a water connection or anything like this here. It's just a trim piece, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but it absolutely positively threads on. So we've solved that issue there. And also, it has to be tall. So this is quite tall. And there's a clamping mechanism here. So now our goal then will be, this comes out, and we have to somehow or another embed this at the right height so that we can hold the trim in place. And the handle has to be taller, but we got to worry about the trim first. The handle comes last. So here's what we came up with. So this is the same piece right there. It's clamped in place using the two nuts. And these pieces now thread on. Okay, and this will push right on the valve, just like this one came off. And let's see here, yeah. Then you have your trim piece. That pushes it against the wall. And then this threads on. We solved the big part of this sculpture already. So now you have to increase the height of the valve stem. Now we've been measuring this, and this is sort of already been pre-made and it's been measured. So I'm just doing a quick run through right now. This slips right off. And then now we have to increase the length here. So we came up with this piece right here. that gives us the right height. And we have this tube right here to cover what it looks like, to make it snug. And we're going to put set screws in here. We have 3 small set screws. Okay, so we're going to snug them up a little bit. There they are. And then our piece here slides right over it. We had to open up the guts on this so that there was a straight line inside. And here's that's right there. Then we have the plate now. Goes on. And we have the trim screw here. The trim ring. There we go. Now the original handle is right here. And the original handle has been modified. We modified the inside to be a standard thread. And they had to modify the screw that holds it in place. And there we are. Now we're ready to call the customer. So there's the negative part about what's going on here is that this indexing now is incorrect. The indexing is out of here. Because how this now operates basically is going to go from nothing, stop here. It's going to go hotter up to this point. It's a pressure balance valve. Cold only, and then it gets gradually warmer. So the indexing is incorrect. But the customer, we discussed that with the customer before we started the process. Ta-da! So now, this has been all assembled. And in this case, instead of being 4.5 inches from top to bottom, so there's your, we are dealing with, this is now 7 inches top to bottom. It's to accommodate the trim. And again, this screw, it's been modified, and the handle has been modified to grab this spline. This is just original trim. Original trim. That's an original trim piece here. And that just lifts right off. And this pulls right out. And this pulls right out. So there we are. It's like, and you got your handle and your handle screw. Now I'm going to give this to the customer, so I'm not going to tighten these down. I want them to have an easy time taking it apart. And I give it to them completely assembled, even though they have this in the wall already, so that they can. It's easier for the installer to take it apart to see how it goes together on a custom piece like this. So of course, then this slides on. Then you got your china here, your ceramic piece. You gotta catch the threads. You gotta catch the threads. And then you have trim piece. Handle screw, and they're back in business. Wow, this is a beautiful piece. That's a beautiful piece. So the people get to keep their aesthetics. They get to keep their aesthetics and have a brand new valve in the wall.